It's a new week, new rumors, new possibilities. What's up, everybody? I'm Jim Rodriguez, and welcome to the Monday here on Dodgers Latest Thanksgiving week. And I can't express my thanks for all your support throughout these months here on Dodgers Latest. The subscriber count keeps going up. Please like, share, comment. You are commenting. I love that. Keep them coming, good and bad. We respond to all, and of course, we read them right here on our daily here on Dodgers Latest. Of course, you can always hit me up on X and on Instagram at JRod Show. And again, hit those thumbs up button. The algorithm loves it. Share it with a friend. Be part of our community. And again, I am very thankful for each and every one of you who have made Dodgers Latest a possibility here on YouTube. And yeah, well, Dodgers threw a little coal into the stocking of closer Evan Phillips. They have non-tendered him, rendering him a free agent. And if you're not familiar with the term, basically when a player doesn't have enough service time to become a free agent, and the Dodgers and the team doesn't want to go to arbitration and doesn't want to basically extend him a contract, they non-tender him, so he becomes automatically a free agent. So not enough service time to become a free agent. Team doesn't want to deal with it anymore. They don't offer him a contract, and he becomes a free agent. The Rangers just did that with their slugger, Adolis Garcia. So for Phillips, it's an interesting situation because he's coming off a Tommy John surgery, right? He's 31, spent better parts of 2021 through 25 with the Dodgers, had 45 saves and an ERA of, under 2.5. And was in that circle of trust. But then, of course, he had a bad shoulder. That turned into Tommy John surgery. Looks like the Dodgers want him back for 26. They just don't want him at $6 million. That's what they paid him last year, unfortunately, to be on the injured list. So I think the Dodgers will bring him back at a reduced rate, maybe bring him in with some incentives. It looks like he should be back August, late All-Star break, August. That's when he looks like he should be back in full. He was an absolute ace for the Dodgers. He was their closer. But as of right now, Evan Phillips is without a team as he was non-tendered by the Dodgers. But again, I would expect that Evan Phillips will be back with the team in 26. Speaking of closers, well, the team's still eyeing Devin Williams. That seems to be their big fish. Williams, who, of course, spent a lot of time with the Brewers, was traded over the Yankees, had a bad year, 4-6, ERA of 4.79, 18 saves, lost his closer position. But in his last 19 appearances, had an ERA of 2.5. Of course, this is a guy who had 36 saves in 2023, had an ERA of 1.53, had an ERA of 1.25 in 24. So it feels like, between Edwin Diaz, who looks like the rumor is he either may go back to the Mets, he opted out of his deal to become a free agent, or may even go to the Blue Jays. Suarez in San Diego. It looks like the Dodgers are really keying in on Devin Williams. Devin Williams is expected to make about $14 to $16 million a year. Not necessarily a long-term contract. Remember, they still have Tanner Scott. They still have Blake Trinan. They still have Alex Vesia. I think they just want one more guy who not necessarily is going to break the bank for them, but can come in and be a closer if Tanner Scott should fail. I still think Tanner Scott's the closer until he's not, until he proves he's not. I think he's going to be sort of the reclamation case in spring training and try to help him out. But Devin Williams will be there if they go ahead and sign him as the backup because he's done it. He's been an all-star closer. But I think of all the closers that are still out there, Dodgers are still keeping an eye on Devin Williams as their guy. And speaking of short-term deals, that's what everybody that I've been talking to and everyone that I've been hearing, that's what the Dodgers are looking for in the outfield. There's all this talk about Kyle Tucker. He's the big fish in terms of free agency, although Adolis Garcia now all of a sudden becomes a big fish in terms of free agency. Kyle Tucker's going to want $400 million, probably 10, 11 years. And the Dodgers, from what I've heard and what I've been talking to people, Dodgers just don't want to commit to a 10-year contract. That's why a guy like a Steven Kwan is more attractive because, number one, he's young, he's multifaceted, he can steal bases, doubles, has a little pop, can play multiple outfield spots. And he's under contract for the next couple of seasons, so the Dodgers would have to make a trade. It would be a costly trade, but the Dodgers have said, listen, they have come to the realization they're going to have to give up some of their minor league prospects to make this trade. I could see a Stephen Kwan deal happening before Kyle Tucker. More than likely, there's the Cody Bellinger situation. Bellinger would probably be a 3-year deal, no more than a 4-year deal. And that's what the Dodgers are leaning at. The Dodgers are leaning for 2 to 4 year contracts to fill that outfield spot, and not the big mega 10-year deal that a Kyle Tucker. So I don't think Kyle Tucker's coming to the Dodgers. I think if the Dodgers had their way, they'd kick the tires and they'd bring Cody Bellinger back, although I hear the Angels are now in the mix on that. But I think Stephen Kwan is the best fit. I think Stephen Kwan is the ultimate Dodger-type player. The problem is you got to trade for him, and he comes with a couple of years of control because he's under contract, so you know what your budget's going to be, and that is going to cost you. It's going to cost you some major league prospects and some minor league prospects, some top prospects, but I think Stephen Kwan is worth it, and I think the Dodgers have to come to the realization of what is it that they want to do. Do they want to spend the money in a free agency? And the Dodgers, it's the worst kept secret, right? The Dodgers are printing money. They've already made the $700 million that they've offered Ohtani. They committed to Ohtani. They've already made that money back in 2 seasons in terms of tickets, merchandise, sponsorships, marketing. They've already made the Ohtani money back. So the team prints money. The question, do you want to spend it or do you want to spend prospects? That's going to be the key. What would you do? Would you go out and sign a big free agent like a Tucker or a Bellinger? Or would you make a trade, give up some of the future, and get a Stephen Kwan who could plug in right now, and he's under control for at least 2 more seasons where you don't have to worry about that as opposed to being on the hook for a nice 10-year contract with a Kyle Tucker, for example. Okay, one guy that I've always talked about, and you guys have gotten on me, that there should be a statue at Dodger Stadium, and that's Dave Roberts. This past week was the 10th anniversary of the Dodgers signing Dave Roberts as their manager. Remember, he was the bench coach of the Padres. He replaced Don Mattingly, and what he has done, what Dave Roberts has done, is simply unbelievable. He in his 10 years, they've made the playoffs all 10 years, 5 pennants, 3 world championships, 2016 Manager of the Year, 944 wins. He is 56 wins away from 1,000. And that is when you start getting into 1,000 wins as a manager, there's something like 66 guys in the history of the game that have 1,000 wins. And now you're getting into the tall grass. And is Dave Roberts a Hall of Famer? Hall of Fame manager? I think so. Right now, he's 4th all-time on the Dodgers win list as managers. Walter Alston's number 1, Tommy Lasorda, Wilbur Robinson, and then Dave Roberts. So if all goes according to plan, Dave should hit 1,000 wins this year. And you start to think, Walter Alston is the greatest manager in Dodger history. He's got over 2,000 wins, 4 championships, won the first title in Brooklyn, went on a run where he went to 5 World Series in 12 years. But then you think of Dave Roberts, who's going to get to 1,000 wins, went to 5 World Series in 9 years, and really kind of gave the team some stability. Remember, after Tommy left, they kicked around. They had Bill Russell, they had Glenn Hoffman, they had Davey Johnson, Joe Torre, Jim Tracy, a lot of guys floating around. And it was finally Dave Roberts who replaced Mattingly and really took it into his own. And again, is he the greatest manager in Dodger history? I think that's still going to be Walter Alston, who managed both in Brooklyn and LA and won championships in both Brooklyn and LA. Tommy Lasorda, beloved, an ambassador, the Hall of Famer just because of his personality. But I think Dave Roberts is on his way to the Hall of Fame, and he's going to get 1,000 wins. Shoot, before he's all said and done, he might get. He was kind of hinting that he may be wanting to retire after 2029. He may get about 1,200 wins before it's all said and done. Still would not move up. I think he'd still be 4th all time in the Dodger win list. But I'll tell you what, if there's a manager statue, and I think Walter Alston deserves one, Tommy Lasorda certainly deserves one. I think Dave Roberts right there, one of the great hires of all time for the Dodgers. 944 wins, 9 NL West championships. And here's the thing, of his 10 playoff appearances, right? He's been in the playoffs all 10 years that he's been here. 9 of them have been division wins. It's not been because of the extended playoff scenario that they wouldn't have gotten in without a wild card. He has won the division 9 of those 10 years, plus those 5 pennants and the 3 world championships, including the back-to-back. Again, not only one of the great managers in Dodger history, he's right up there one of the great managers in baseball history. 3rd all-time in postseason wins. Again, Dave Roberts doesn't get the respect and gets a lot of flack, and you know what? Deserved it for a while, but I think he got over that, and I think, to me, one of the greats of all time, let alone in Dodger history. All right, we always ask you to be part of the show. Last time we talked about Corey Seager, who is the Rangers are kicking the tires on trading him. Remember, the Rangers are in a total fire sale. They just traded Marcus Semien. They let Adolis Garcia, they non-tendered him, just like the Dodgers non-tendered Evan Phillips. And we thought, well, could Corey Seager have a fit with the Dodgers? 6 years left, $189 million. And here's the thought, entertaining Belly and now Corey is tiring. Dodgers need to get younger. Bringing back players at older age for huge salaries doesn't seem like the Dodger way. That's true. Hassan Kim hasn't been given a fair shake, and Murakami seems to be a good student for third base. Dodgers need to focus on building bullpen as a priority. Yeah, I mean, all great points, all true. But I think the Dodgers, I don't know if Murakami is the guy the Dodgers want. I think we saw the pictures of Yamamoto and Murakami having dinner together in Los Angeles. I think that the Japanese pipeline is there, so it's almost inevitable that he'll be here. I question if Murakami is going to be able to hit in the big leagues. Monster numbers in Japan. In Japan, everybody keeps saying for a hitter, it's probably AA. That's the equivalent, maybe AAA. Although the talent there has gotten so much better and so many guys coming over here now. Ohtani, I've always said this. Other than Ohtani, not a lot of great hitters have come out of Japan. You got Ichiro, Ohtani, not much after that. Pitching, they got a lot of great pitching out of there. Mostly, thankfully, have been with the Dodgers. But Ichiro and Ohtani have been the big mega hitters that have come out of Japan. Not a lot of, superstars. So I'm always curious about what kind of a hitter Murakami will be and what that will translate to the big leagues. Remember, you can hit me up, J-Rod Show, X and Instagram. Thanksgiving is around the way. Hopefully you will be able to be with your loved ones, your friends, the people that are important to you, and you can give thanks because every day above ground is a gift, no matter how bad things are. And remember, we're right here for you. Dodgers Latest here on YouTube, and you could always hit me up right there on Instagram and on X at J-Rod Show. Who are the Dodgers going to get to close? Is it Tanner Scott? Is it Devin Williams? Will Cody Bellinger be wearing Dodgers? Will Corey Seager be in the stocking for the Dodgers? Interesting stuff. Remember, the winter meetings are in Orlando. That's when it'll get hot and heavy. That's starting December the 7th, and that's probably when we'll see some wheeling and dealing and big-time free agent signings. I'm Jim Rodriguez. If I don't talk to you by then, happy Thanksgiving, and it's always time for Dodger baseball.